Hey, hi, welcome back to the Clay Nelson Life Balance Hour with Susan. And the name of the show today is Dealing with the I Don't Wannas of Life. So
There's a lot of them, huh?
yeah, there's a lot of I don't wannas going on. All right, so, it's like, how do you deal with the I don't wannas? How do you notice that you have the blahs? And how do you just kind of life is flat or bored or I've been doing this for so long, I just flat don't want to do it again. I don't want to clear up the problem. I don't want to solve the problem. I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to be here, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, what's it like to be a mom and you have kids and everything else? And, no, and husbands and all that stuff. Isn't it true that, aren't there some days you just don't want to?
Oh, there's one quick story
Yeah.
here. It was about maybe 10 years ago, and you were sick.
Yeah.
And you just kind of got sick that day. So I didn't get to the gym. The kids had to go to school, but then they were feeling kind of puny. And so I'm getting ready to take them to school, but then we decide that they're not going to go to school. And one of them goes to school, the other one stays home. And there's just like so much commotion and so much.
Yeah.
The change that I had to do in my schedule was so it was so instant and so intense. I just said, I don't want to be the mom.
Yeah. Please
Don't wanna
sign
be the
someone
mom.
up for them. Can we have the surrogate mom step in
The
now?
poor kids here just looked at me like, oh my God.
Yeah. Okay.
So I apologize after that. But
Oh yeah, no, but see, it's like it happens to people that are doing stuff. It happens to people that have families. It happens to people all over the world. The I don't want us take you over. So how do you deal with the I don't want us? And that's what today's show is all about. It's like spring is here, and you got to get out and do things you really don't want to because you've been doing it every year for the last 25 years.
yeah.
All right, and you got to go out and plant things and do things, and you got to find your tools that last year you didn't clean up before you put them away. So you pull them out this year, and they still have 3.5 inches of mud on them from last year.
However, the mud's really hard.
Oh yeah, mud is absolutely
Yeah.
concrete, And you go to use the mud-covered tools, and the mud's so thick that you can't push the shovel in the ground. It's really depressing. All right, and your kids get back from spring break, and now it's like, oh my God, now what do I do? All right, and your prime beach or poolside weather is getting closer and closer, and guess what that means, folks? All your winterized eating, all your hiding in your cave where you could just kind of simply swell up and nobody noticed, they're fixing to go notice, so you got to deal with that. And for those of you that have been, hanging out and you're in a cold climate, it's time to stick your head out of your cave and just get that you can't live in it for the rest of your life. And you just kind of have to get out in the sunlight and look at the spring flowers and maybe deal with some people. What do you think?
Outside of your cave.
What do you think? Yeah, actually come out of your cave, get in the sunshine and be social and deal with people even if you don't want to. And how about you don't want to host, this year's family reunion? How about that? And it's your turn. And by the way, I don't even like those people. Why should I have them to my house, right? Or they're going to come to my house and one of them is so big they're going to break my couch for sure. So I don't want to. What do you think of that one? Or, you got to figure out the summertime arrangements. Let me see, you have 4 kids or 3 kids, or now 2 kids is the popular number. But they're not going to be in school, so you got to figure out what to do with them.
Yep.
All right, and you got to make all these arrangements because there's a lot of kids and parents trying to figure out what to do with them, and they're getting into these programs, and the programs fill up. And anything else that leaves you feeling less than inspired, it's kind of like, I just don't wanna.
Where's there the time for myself?
Yeah. So how do I handle that? How do you handle life just becoming I don't wanna? And I don't mean like I don't want to like depression, just like I don't want to, and it's sporadic.
It's
just
more
grabs
of an
you.
instantaneous thing,
Yeah.
as opposed, or could last for maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Just even the last couple of days since we've got our new puppy, it sort of changed our life a bit
Yeah.
and our schedule, and not like a bad thing. It's just we really have to think instantly about where we're going, and sometimes don't add one more thing.
I got to start to
one
tell
more
you.
thing to the
We
day.
have 4 cats, right?
Yes.
And our cats, our house is the cat hair house, especially
Oh,
coming
gosh.
into spring.
Yeah.
They shed all over the place. So I've been tired. I don't want to clean up cat hair anymore. So you know what I do? I don't sit in the chairs anymore. I sit on the floor. Until last night we had company. We had to clean the chairs after 4 days of not cleaning them.
Yeah, I know. It took
Life
half
is
an
hard.
hour.
Yeah. I don't want to.
Well,
I just
I'm not
don't
going to
wanna.
show you what I get out of the vacuum cleaner if you're going to sit on the floor from now on. No.
Okay, got an email?
Yes, it's actually from from Sarah. She says, how do you deal with someone's lack of motivation
Yeah.
when what is beneath it all is a sense of entitlement? For instance, someone calls in sick because they feel entitled to a day off after having to put in extra hours on a project the week before.
Well, so here's what you do. Here's what we go. Is we go to a place called, you have to get straight with, entitlement doesn't really work. I mean, there's a job that you have to do. You do your job, and it's, you know, it's kind of a thing that you do and have to get straight with. So where we are is looking at, hey, read the last two lines of that thing again, will you?
Well, see, for instance, someone calls in sick because they feel entitled to a day off after having to put in extra hours on a project the week before.
Okay, so if they come in and they have to spend extra hours on a project and they think they should be given off hours now, that's not the way it works. I mean, it's kind of like family and team everywhere.
Yeah.
Some days you have to do a little more than other days, and sometime in the future you're going to have time off, or you're going to have needs to have time off, or you're going to be sick and somebody else is going to have to take over. So it's all about everybody taking care of everybody else.
Okay.
Right? Just think if we could have family at work. And some places have a better family at work than they have at home.
I've heard that.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
Cool.
so now, what do we got? Let me see. It's like the I don't want is, the examples of I don't want is there, you know, it's that you have to be who you need to be even if you don't want to be. All right? If you want to make a difference, you have to be the person that wants to make the difference and needs to make a difference. You know, leadership is really tough. Leadership's only really needed when it's not there.
Yeah.
You have to stand up even if you don't want to. You have to get visible, all right? You have to get what you say. Let me see. You have to really be able to say, look, I want this. I'm going to get this. And then you have to go get it even if you don't feel like you want to do it, all right? It's like getting up in the morning and feeding the animals and making breakfast and doing all the things we do. And it's like some mornings we just flat don't want to do it. Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
So it's really unbelievable. So you have to have, how about this? I guess a fair thing to say, have you ever gotten up or you've been with somebody and you have to have an unconditional smile on your face when you really don't want to?
Yeah.
Or you flat just don't like somebody. Either they remind you of somebody that gave you a bad time when you were younger or on a different job someplace or whatever, or they were just somebody, the way they speak, the way they hold themselves, you know, you just don't want to be around them, but you got to be around them.
Yep.
So you have to put a smile on your face, and after a while, the smile that you force up on your face really gets to be a smile that's for real. Understand? So
I
it's all
understand.
about your ability to change, all right? It's like when we really don't want it, everything seems like a chore. Everything is a full-time job. You know, the day is endless. You know, work just feels like it's forever. It's never going to end. And the weight and the heaviness of it is, you know, ongoing. And, oh, my God, I can't wait. It's like getting into going home traffic is better than doing the job that we're doing because we hate it so bad.
Well, wouldn't overwhelm be, you know, when people just have so much going on that it's just really hard to manage everything. So it's just easier to say, just, you know, I'd rather just not do anything than take on one more thing or even complete something on the list. I mean, sometimes it's just a thought in my head, but then I go, well, that's not going to work. So it's like I have to motivate myself. And, you know, I guess part of that too is just make sure that you're healthy and that you're able to handle it or be able to say no.
One circumstance at a time.
Yep.
And you just dance with it one circumstance at a time.
Yeah.
And human beings live in a land called I don't want to all the time, all right? Because we feel like we have to, we should, we oughta, so on and so forth. Like I'm being told now I have to go on a break and I don't want to.
Because we're having a good conversation.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's like, just think if the whole world could sit down and deal with their I don't want us and get happy and push through and get their I don't want us out of the way and everybody communicate and everything get done what needs to be getting done and we take care of each other better than I don't think I want to. So I've got to take a break now. You're listening to Clay Nelson and Clay Nelson Life Balance Hour, and we're dealing with the I don't want to. So get on back here even if you don't want to.